So, Force My Hand was the title for Power Book 2 Ghost, Episode 7, and you could see why. The theme of the episode was really set in the classroom once again, which was, should we make decisions for other people without their consent? And this is where forcing other people's hands really come into play. People in a position of power are always making decisions which affect others, but often because they really have no choice. There were a few occasions where characters were forced to do something because of the actions of others. There was Monet who forced Mecca's hand in telling Zeke that he was his father, and it's going to be Diana who puts 2 and 2 together very soon about the real truth. There was Carrie's relationship which was exposed at the memorial dinner and around campus, and Ev is a loose end that needs to be tied up, because he knows way too much, and Drew knows it, Kane knows it, and Lorenzo doesn't like leaving loose ends. So could we see Ev catching a hot one soon? Let's wait and see. Now with Tariq, there's a lot at stake because Tamika coming back and helping him didn't exactly go to plan, and he really is on the path to becoming a bigger monster than Ghost. So we're gonna run through the storyline with Drew and the Tejadas, Tariq's case, and everything else in this review and recap. But with the theme and the foundation set, let's kick things off with where the episode started, which was with Drew and Lorenzo, and it's the continuation of their conversation in episode 6, when Drew told him that they had to eliminate the threat, who was Kino, and take over the BSKs and the streets. So with them tailing Kino, Drew eliminated the threat, his first on-screen body, and he did it without hesitation. And now we know what Lorenzo meant by Drew knows how to handle himself in the streets, because we hadn't seen this side to him before. We saw a small glimpse with Lil Guap in season 1, but he was ruthless in this scene with precision. But this woman, I really thought when Drew told her that she saw nothing, that she was going to be another Maria Suarez. But Lorenzo is someone who takes no risks. He told Drew, rule number 1, no loose ends, and we're going to come back to that rule in just a moment. But after they took care of business, Monet wasn't happy that Lorenzo put Drew at risk. But Lorenzo wants Monet to stop babying Drew, and this is where these two really disagree on the direction of their family. Monet wants to choose safety, and she wants to use Zeke as a way out of the game. But Lorenzo basically tells her there is no way out, this is the game they're in. And Lorenzo, he'll never live off another man, especially Zeke when he finds out that he's Monet's son. But we see Drew living his double life in this episode. Just moments before this, he was out in the streets and now he's with his escape from his destiny, which is Ev. And this is where he actually found out. They found Ramirez's badge in Tariq's drawer, and now he's putting 2 and 2 together that it was Kane who set him up. But this wasn't all. Kevin Whitman wanted to question Ev about what he told Jabari in season 1. And if we were to take it back to season 1, Ev mentioned Drew's name when they were investigating the GTG's murder, and Jabari also wrote Drew's name in his notepad. So you can say, Ev is definitely a loose end, and Drew knows it, and you can bet Ev's role in this is going to get even deeper towards the end of the season. And with the problem that Kane has with Drew, this was always going to come to boiling point, because we all saw the jealousy that Kane has with Drew when Lorenzo brought him to the meet with Mecca and Raquel, where they discussed Lorenzo taking over the streets but needing a helping hand from Mecca's soldiers, where they eliminated another crew. And Drew told Kane that he needed to pump his brakes because he isn't smart enough to run shit. He's just a guard dog with a new master, and this hurt Kane, you could see it. But he throws it back on Drew, telling him that Ev's a snitch, because if it wasn't for him, Jabari would never have known his name. And this shit gets heated real quick, and that's because Drew knows that Ev is a loose end that needs to be tied up, because he knows too much, and at some point Kevin Whitman will come back, and when he's put under pressure he's gonna talk. So Drew knew what he had to do, but he couldn't. But this is something that will definitely be revisited at some point in the last 3 episodes, that's for sure. But this is something I didn't expect in this episode. Mecca approaching Zeke and telling him that he's Dante Spears, his father, and to prove it to him, he told him that one foot is half a size bigger than the other, because it runs in their family. He also showed him a tattoo to show him where his name came from. But a stranger coming up to you and telling you that I'm your father, of course it was gonna mindfuck Zeke, and he was gonna go searching for answers. And in the meantime, Zeke was supposed to be having a meeting with Monet and an agent, but Diana spotted this, a text from D, which stands for Dante. We need to talk about him, Nay. So just keep this in mind because it's going to be important later. But Zeke is mindfucked, he's confused, and of course, as any normal human being would want, he wants answers as to who this man Dante Spears is. So he wanted to speak to his mom. And if you're wondering who he thinks his mom is, it's Monet's sister Lena, and we're going to be introduced to her in season 3. But Monet calms Zeke down in this scene and tells him that his father's in prison for life. And Smooth talks a way out of this one, because she warned him before that he was going to be a target because he's entering the draft. And of course, this kicks off the argument between Mecca and Monet, where Mecca tells Monet that he was arrested at 16 and given the chance to go to the military, but he would have made another choice if he knew about Zeke. But with Monet telling Mecca that he needs to stay away from both of them, this was forcing his hand into making another move. And that move was one which was getting to her by getting to Lorenzo. Lorenzo now works for Mecca, he's got his supply, and Mecca also helped him clear out his competition. So this is another way Mecca can get to Monet. But coming full circle with this storyline and why the text is so important that Diana saw is because of this conversation that went down with Zeke. He told her this crazy guy called Dante is claiming to be his dad. But Diana is someone who's wising up this season, and with her seeing the text from D on Monet's phone, you can bet she's gonna put 2 and 2 together, and now you can kind of say she holds the family to hardest fate in her own hands once she realizes, which I think she will. But let's move on and talk about Tariq, his case, his sister, Davis McLean, and everything else, and bring this whole picture together. Now Tariq can't leave campus, so McLean and Sachs come to him with a video of Kane killing Ramirez, which looks like Tariq from behind. But Tariq isn't a snitch, because he knows exactly what happens to one of those, and this is the difference between McLean and Sachs. McLean is someone who knows the streets, but Sachs doesn't, because he's been on the other side of the law for far too long, which showed in this episode. But with Paula being Tariq's alibi, there were 2 problems. The first was her relationship with McLean, and the second was, even though Tariq did meet Paula, he still would have had time to make it to the scene of the crime. So they had to come up with something else, and they had no choice but to use Yaz. But this is the last thing Tariq wanted, which was to have his sister lie for him. Ghost and Tasha taught Tariq to lie, and now he was teaching Yaz to lie, which is why he approached Tamika. And I really liked how Tamika said, "You didn't kill this cop," because she knows that Tariq killed Ray Ray in power. But she pulled out the pictures of Maria Suarez, Lakeisha, Felipe Lobos, and Terry Silva, and she didn't want to be responsible for helping Tariq become his father. She was basically telling him she's not Joe Proctor or Davis McLean, and we all knew this from Power anyway. Tamika has been someone who's always been straight by the book, and you could see she really did want to help Tariq, and help him by getting him a deal, but that would mean him spending 5 years inside, if he snitched of course, which we all knew he was never gonna do. So no matter what Sachs and Tamika said, and how much they tried to save him from becoming a bigger monster than Ghost, it's too late. He's already on his way, and Tariq was never gonna accept this deal. Just like Ghost, do you think he would have accepted this deal? I don't think so. But using Yaz, it was always going to be a bad idea, because Jenny could question her on the cross, and she confused the story coming out of Yaz, so she was out of the question. But Tariq isn't the only one who's got issues. Monet and Kane do as well, because Tariq's business keeps them paying for McLean for information, which could come back on them. And with Mecca giving Lorenzo all the product, they were screwed, which led Kane to putting a gun to McLean in his car. He told him that Tariq has to take the weight, but McLean told him they're not interested in Jabari, they want the cop killer. And Tariq had all the chance to say Kane's name, but he didn't. But if he's going down, Kane's going down as well. And McLean helping Tariq is helping Kane. But you could tell afterwards, McLean wasn't scared in this scene. He's got a deep history in the streets that we don't know about yet. But he needed a way to help his client Tariq. And after he found out that it was Carrie, who was the one helping Lauren during the questioning, he told her that if Lauren is called up on the stand, he's gonna rip her apart. But what could Lauren say if she does get put on the stand? She could say she was forced to wear the wire and manipulated by Carrie. So she really is playing a dangerous game because she slept with 4 people on the case. Jabari, Zeke, Kevin Whitman, and the 4th, probably Davis McLean. But elsewhere with Tariq, there was this photo album, and a specific photo that not only would bring Sweeney down, but would also bring Robert Weston down as well, which Braden didn't want. But we also saw Rashad Tate approaching Robert Weston and blackmailing him, but he's not someone who likes being blackmailed. But Tate is someone who always wins. And Braden's got a choice to make, his family legacy, which he doesn't give a shit about anyway, but he would lose his privilege if he did, or Tariq's family, because this is the only way Tariq gets Yaz back. Now, we also saw his relationship with Diana really picking up, especially after Cooper Sachs told him to stay away from Lauren. But Diana came to talk to Tariq about her family, and how they're divided because Monet wants out of the game, but Lorenzo wants back in the streets. She also questioned whether he knows anyone, beginning with D, who Monet's been dealing with, something we spoke about earlier, and how she's gonna put 2 and 2 together. But with Tariq not doing business with Monet anymore, he asked her 2 questions, as long as she's sure, and he wanted to make sure Monet never finds out. But we also saw Frank's wife come around, Evelyn, who was questioning Frank's whereabouts, but Monet basically told her how it was. Frank was a snitch. But this is where I'm gonna finish. Tariq meeting Kane. Tariq needs to figure something out because Mecca's not supplying them anymore, and Kane and Monet, they need to pay for McLean, and so does Tariq, so their business goes hand in hand. But without them having any product to sell, they need to find a way of making some real money. So what's Tariq gonna do now? Because his trial starts tomorrow, and he needs to figure shit out quick. And that was episode 7, which was another very good episode and a lot of character development, especially from Drew once again. But Ev's time's up. You can really sense he's gonna catch a hot one, either from Drew, Lorenzo, or Kane himself. So drop all your thoughts down on Drew, Mecca telling Zeke that he's his father, and will Diana put 2 and 2 together? I think so. but drop all your comments down below in the comment section. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 2 Ghost and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.